Twitch. Oh, I think the Twitch went down. It just recommended me a video from 5 seconds ago.
Is it because we was doing Seinfeld?
Let me just refresh. Maybe it's up. Yep, we're up. Okay, here we go. There we go.
Hello, Taryn. Taryn says we were here the whole time.
Yo, what up, Taryn? It is always a pleasure to see you.
My notes decided to yeet themselves from the browser.
Blue Skadoo, you can yeet. Boo.
All right, let me hit him with that intro. That he forgot to put in the notes. So here we go.
Laugh track plays.
Wait, this might work. Okay, yeah, we got this. Today on State of the Nerd Union, coming to you on a Wednesday as opposed to a Monday, we're discussing the latest Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, the big X-Men news and show announcements from Disney Plus Day, and the surprise Xbox announcement and drop of Halo Infinite's multiplayer. Plus, we're also gonna be slapping that behind from Activision again. There's gonna be gotta tear them up again, which I am glad to do for the community.
Yep. It's got to happen, but like sometimes you just would really prefer that it just be good.
Yeah. We don't actually want to do this. I mean, we want to talk about games. We'd rather just talk about games. We'd rather just talk about awesome, what just came out? Call of Duty. I'd rather talk about Vanguard, but I
mean, we are going to talk about games, because Grand Theft Auto, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But
Taryn,
you gotta step on fools when they need to be stepped on, so
yeah.
And kick butts when they need to be kicked.
Taryn, yes, thank you. That was a faux pas. It just did not. In light of what we're talking about, yes, I apologize. Ooh, usually I'm very good about that. It might be the head goal. All that starting.
I think you mean butt kicking, not butt slapping, but the same thing.
Yes. All right, and we are here with State of the Nerd Union. I'm one of your hosts, Commandership, with my wonderful co-host. We're going with Imminent Doom X.
Yep.
The Fro is still there, though. The Fro's not going anywhere.
That's what you think. This Fro comes right off. No, I'm kidding.
You know what? That would have been probably... I mean, there'd be a lot of great moments in streaming history, but that would be pretty high up there. I would contend for anyone to be like, fight me.
Nice.
Yeah. You could probably tell I'm nasally, so I'm fighting that.
Nice to meet you, nasally.
And we got a dad. Not even 2 minutes. We got a dad joke. Not even. All right. Gosh, I just want to turn everything off now and go home. No. Okay.
You're already home.
I'm congested. We tried to put off doing a show on Monday just to let me get a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, there's a lot that happened. Well, not in a we've got like a bazillion topics, but there were some big ones that happened. Obviously, the Spider-Man trailer yesterday. Disney Plus Day ended up being bigger than I thought it was. I was kind of like I didn't really care. I was like, okay, whatever. It's gonna be a bunch of fluff, new shows, and there's some, but then there's the X-Men, which I'm not saying we wouldn't have gotten another X-Men show. I just didn't think it was gonna be what they decided to do. So.
Yeah, same. But I'm glad they're doing it the way that they're doing it.
But we're gonna get to that. First, we got to get through
Quick
quick hits, and something that did an update. If you've been using Disney Plus, you'll notice if you try to watch the MCU, you can watch in a timeline order. You got different ways you can watch it. You can do it in a timeline order. So they've updated that recently since Shang-Chi got also released during Disney Plus Day. Added that, and we know well, it's not on this graphic, but it's directly after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So they've confirmed that. Also, over the summer, if you watch Black Widow, you now know that Black Widow happens right after Civil War and in between Black Panther. There was one graphic that had it Black Widow in between Black Panther and Doctor Strange, but that didn't. I was like, that doesn't sound right. It should be right after. Should be right after Civil War. But granted, that time frame also is kind of really tight between those three. So, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot that's going on.
Yeah, so maybe Marvel has moved it and updated that. So, cool. Also, this not shown on this graphic. What if? What if being in between Loki and WandaVision, which I also think is pretty interesting. No word yet where Eternals will be at, but obviously this is the Disney Plus view. So again, this is not like an official timeline drop. So surely we'll get one of those graphics out here soon.
I mean, not to. Never mind. Yeah, I no idea where Eternals is going to drop. Nope, none at all.
Dun, dun, dun.
Speaking
well, it
of
has to be
quick-
after Endgame. We know.
For sure, yeah. I mean, but I know exactly where the movie falls, but I'm not going to say it because spoilers.
Did I miss something? Ooh, I think
Maybe.
I missed something. Okay. Something I'm not missing though is a sale that I don't necessarily. Gamers everywhere. GameStop is what it is. Like we all know that we go there for what we need, not because we want to go there. And I would be lying if I said I haven't built a considerable part of my collection based off the buy two get one sale at GameStop. You know, if you're gonna get like maybe your super popular titles when they come out, and then you're like ones you swing back through to get. This is usually the sale to go for. So it is currently happening right now. No word on when it will end, though. Usually these things can be like usually so during a weekend, so you usually do like Friday to Sunday. But since a lot of dealers, a lot of game shops are doing full month things for Black Friday, would not surprise me if GameStop continues this for the entire month of November, maybe even going into
Probably December.
Yeah.
Because they want to do something for that holiday season, unless they have a completely different promotion that's like comparable, but doubt it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll keep letting you know things as they come up. You know who to follow. We've said them multiple times. Wario64. There's plenty of great people doing awesome work. So.
Wow.
And that is all for the quick hits. We're gonna move for the Cinephiles segment, and coming off of I remember this one.
Yep.
Yeah, coming off the actions of the set of Rust and the untimely tragic death of Hannah Hutchins, The Rock has decided with his production company $7 that they will no longer use firearms on the set. No longer use prop guns, real guns on the set. Now there are some companies that have already done this to some degree, and what you'll do is effectively use a fake gun that actually can't fire anything. The actors will need to simulate the feeling, and then After Effects will put in the burst, like muzzle flash and stuff on the gun, and so that together can really get it together. So it can be done.
And he said something to the effect of like, I don't care how much it costs. Like, we're just gonna deal with it, and we're just gonna use rubber guns, and we'll deal with it in post because it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, I think the only thing they'll just need to, and someone could probably come up with this. It's just like, hey, you could build some, necessity. You can build drive innovation. Create something that can create a kick. That's when you press on the trigger, something like you get some force feedback. Some haptic feedback, so that you know to react. That way, that you're not just like holding a VR controller and just going through
a Nintendo light gun.
Yeah. You know,
Oh,
which is,
I mean, there already is exactly the thing that does that. We've all played Time Crisis before.
oh yeah, that's right. Because the assault, the guns, they shake.
They do the cock back thing, and they rattle and they shake and they do all that stuff. Was technology that we've had in arcades since Time Crisis 2, probably.
Time Crisis 2?
Yeah,
Not even Time Crisis 1, Time Crisis 2.
I can't remember how Time Crisis 1 played, so I can't assert whether or not. And also, it's been probably however many years since I've been in a physical arcade, so it's like I can't. And like, trying to find a classic Time Crisis 1 machine is near impossible. I did have a home copy of Time Crisis 3, which was pretty dope.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of. So I need to get the other Time Crisis games, but I have a bunch of like other offshoot, like not offshoot of Time Crisis, but just like different light gun games.
Yeah, light gun. I got you. Typing of the Dead, the classic.
Classic. But also like a bunch of Wii light gun games, and then
yep.
The PlayStation Move light gun games are hella underrated. It's just I really wish there had been more, or that people had played them more. I don't know if it's necessarily like Sony's fault of like, oh, you didn't push this well enough, but like playing Killzone with the light gun setup, it's pretty nice. With the PlayStation Move, it's actually pretty nice. You can also do that with Resistance, and then any Time Crisis games on that, like Time Crisis Raging Storm, it's really good. Time Crisis 4 is on the PS3. Like, it's really nice.
Time Crisis 5. I don't know if you played that one yet.
I haven't.
It's pretty fresh. I played it before the pandemic hit, and like there's like a little bit of like choose your own adventure type stuff where there's a selective dodge mechanic, so you can come out of cover like one of two sides because there's two pedals now. It's pretty neat. Nice. I at one point in time I could, but like largely trained by my dad because he was a big light gun video game person. But at one point in time, I could make it all the way through all of Time Crisis 3 on a single credit.
Whoa!
I don't know if I still got those chops anymore because like a lot of that was knowing like, all right, like right there, that dude's gonna jump out from behind that box and he's gonna shoot you immediately.
Because it's the jump outs.
You gotta be dodging right then, or like knowing that he's gonna be there because you just don't have time. But it was like knowing that when those things came through, like after a certain point, like I was able to make it through Time Crisis 3 on the regular without losing a credit. I would still get hit, but I wouldn't lose a credit.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's the jump outs. I would always be like, if you didn't, because you got to know. Yeah.
Yep. That's how they get you to spend money. That's how they get you to spend money.
Hey, you know what? I know what my throwback's gonna be, but not Time Crisis. I'm thinking of another one. That one keeping my.
I have a good one too. I'm in the light gun zone.
All right.
But
next,
speaking of things in the light gun zone, Halo series is I know, right? Not really a transition. Halo series is coming on Paramount Plus. So we got a sweet teaser of Master Chief putting on his armor, but no real details other than that the role is being played by American God star Pablo Schreiber. And the voice of Cortana, though no word if they're being played by Jen Taylor or not.
Yeah, it sounds like Cortana, but we just couldn't confirm that yet. It is possible someone else could be taking it on. For very rare cases, Cortana's been voiced by other mediums, not in the games, but like in like commercials and stuff like that. So, I've been hearing about a Halo project for the longest time.
Yeah, I feel like it comes up every couple years of like movie, and then like no, and like movie, no.
Because fun fact, go back and watch District 9, and you can see battle rifles in that movie, and any of the carts that run around are like, that's a Warthog. It's changed. They changed it enough, but that's a Warthog.
Hey, what's the phrase? Familiar yet legally distinct.
For folks that have no idea what we're talking about, just long story short, District 9 was the first failed Halo project. And then Neil Blomkamp basically took those assets and made District 9 into something completely different, which was a nice, fun movie. But
It was cool. I liked it. It was neat.
yeah.
But speaking of stuff that's also cool, LeVar Burton is going to be the host of a new Trivial Pursuit show. So the Reading Rainbow host and should have been host of Jeopardy! Star LeVar Burton is kicking off a different kind of trivia series with game maker Trivial Pursuit, which is being produced by E1 and Hasbro.
Yeah. There's no word on a network yet. I actually, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about like the D&D shows and stuff that are doing really well on like some of the like smaller streaming platforms or on like YouTube and Twitch. I feel like a Netflix like trivia show would be fantastic.
That could be pretty cool. I'm not a big like game show person anymore. Like I used to watch it a lot when I was growing up because I would just have the TV on in the background and just watch whatever was on. And I really enjoy them, but like I don't have that time for that experience anymore.
Well, right, but what's the biggest problem with that though? You can't curate the experience. If you want to watch Jeopardy, if there's a tournament of Jeopardy happening, you got to be like if you want to know what happened immediately, you got to be watching it live TV. I think if you eliminate the live TV aspect, and it's like, because you already taped it, you already so if there's a new Trivial Pursuit Tournament of Champions that drops on Netflix, I'm sure the trivia nerds will come out of the woodworks to devour that, right? And then you get that you have the opportunity for that sensation to happen, and like clips being shared and stuff like that. I feel like the live TV aspect of these shows hurts it to a degree.
Maybe.
I mean, I know there's an older demographic that wants to stay, like, get off.
That just wants to watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my great grandmother would like that was like her jam. She was like she's watching Wheel of Fortune. It was mostly Wheel of Fortune, and golf, and some other what's it called Jeopardy as well. But it was like those were her jams. And she could probably watch like you set in front of her TV and she probably watched 12 hours of all those stuff. The Game Show Network, yep.
Yeah. Nice Cup of Tea says, I like that Game Show Trivia has navigated into party game territory. Honestly feel like it's a better, more interactive iteration that I am happy to make time. That's also a good point. Could it be that we are having more fun doing it ourselves? That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that kind of lends itself to the popularity of what's it called, like Jackbox games, which I have my own opinions about. I feel like they only have one good game every box set, but the game that they have is good. And like it's usually the game that everybody wants to play because they tend to all gravitate towards the same one or two games per set. But like those kind of things, I feel like to your point, a nice cup of tea, kind of gravitate towards like the game show trivia style feel. Even though they're player generated games, but they still have that kind of vibe. At least the good ones that everybody seems to gravitate towards too. And maybe we're all holding on to that same idea. You want to take the next one?
Oh yeah. So, because I posted an article, and now I'll see if I have time to write it because I talked about Daniel Day Kim coming in as Fire Lord Ozai, and now we got a burgeoning TV nerd in his own right, being on Kim's Convenience Store. And having had a nice little role in The Mandalorian, and now getting to play Leave on the Fight. I thought I wasn't gonna cry. Oh gosh, oh goodness. So Paul Sung-Hyun Lee as Uncle Iroh, and they're just knocking these castings out of the park. They're just, again, still remains to be seen because, like I wrote about, and it's been reported widely, there was a falling out between the original creators of the show, the animated show for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So it still remains to be seen if this will come together and be great. Obviously, we'll get a really good test at how Netflix is doing with that because their anime to movies has been pretty trash, but Cowboy Bebop comes out this weekend. That would probably be a really good sign if that comes out and does well. Then we can maybe feel more comfortable about Avatar. But these castings so far have just been. I love this. I love it. I love it. I love him. Paul, you're amazing. I'm glad you got to be an X-Wing pilot. He's such a huge Star Wars nerd, and I'm glad he gets to cross over into this world. And I think he'll be great. If you watch Kim's Convenience Store, I think he'll be great. It's amazing.
I feel like he's a really good choice. In my head, the other actor I felt like would have been a really good Uncle Iroh is Sammo Hung. If you're familiar, for those who aren't familiar, Sammo Hung is a really big name in Chinese martial arts cinema, and just like the fighting kung fu movie and martial arts movie world as a whole. I think he's directed some stuff. He's also acted in a bunch of stuff. He's been in. Too many things to list. He's worked alongside Jackie Chan in a number of films back in the day. He's been in more recently Ip Man. With Donnie Yen and that sorts of stuff. But he's like a similar to Uncle Iroh. He has like a Falstaffian build. And he's also like incredibly martial. Like he has like incredible martial arts prowess, and I feel like would have been really suited for really well suited to portray Uncle Iroh on the screen. But yeah, I think they both fit really well as Uncle Iroh.
Yeah, and
good choice.
Good choice. And we got two more announcements. The second one I'm more familiar with. So we got Yim K-Soo as Gyatso, and then we got Ken Young as Commander Zhao, which I also we're speaking about another person that's been nerding out for a long time. Ken has been doing that for quite a while as well. This was in the original Saw, X-Men: The Last Stand. I forgot who he played in Star Wars. He's also got some Star Wars cred there too. He's been in a lot of stuff. So I appreciate that we're getting some steeped nerd veterans coming into this and getting to put their stamp on this series. So I think he'd be a good choice.
Right on.
Again, I'm nervous. I'm optimistically nervous. Yes,
I'm gonna just watch it when it comes out, and we'll see how it is.
I know.
I mean, realistically, knowing me, it's like I don't watch nothing. So I'll just think about it real hard. Oh man.
Do you want to challenge ourselves again?
Where we
for
at?
Game time?
Yeah. Oh man. Oh my God. There's so much here. Jeez.
No, there's not. It's not. Okay.
All right. Let's put a.
Do like a light 15. Do like a. If we break it.
I was gonna say 20, but okay. Let's do it. We'll put
let's see where we get at. Let's see where we get.
All right. We'll put let's see. We'll put a 20 minutes on the game clock.
A nice cup of tea doesn't believe in us. They said the hand to forehead suggested is too much.
There's a lot to talk about with GTA, but let's hit it. All right, when you're ready, you'll take the first one. I'll start the clock. 20 minutes.
And yeah, because I'll get the Xbox stuff. So I'm the big Halo fan. I'm excited. The multiplayer beta. The multiplayer. Let's just put it what it is. The multiplayer for Halo is out. You can play it now. I would have been playing it Monday before the show, but I was in bed. Blah. And but it is a beta. I know I said but it is a beta because there's still some things that they're tweaking out. Mainly because this lets them just really test out the servers and just go full ham. And things that have already come up is the XP progression. That what you're getting doled out, and for like the daily and weekly challenges, seems nigh impossible. There's already there was an Oliver Twist meme that went out. I didn't get to grab the photo. It was like, please, 3-4, may I have some more XP?
Nice.
And having played last night and only made one level,
oof.
I was like, man, this is That's pretty rough. I probably had about 15 matches, and I'm like,
Ooh.
God. And someone noted, I think it
They
might
need
have been IGN, but they noted like it would be one thing if you could at least pick your playlist more specifically, so that you could drill down on some of the challenges. So like, if they say you need to get X number of kills in this particular match type, it's like, well, okay, but if you're playing in a big playlist that will only look like, and you're only going to see that in the rotation of that playlist after a particular amount of time, that's a little rough. Now I understand.
Yeah, that's whack.
Yeah. Now usually you don't get to just like pick. I'm going to play on this particular map the entire. Like that's not how it works. But right now there's no like Slayer only option, which is a little weird. Because like personally, I just don't really like playing Capture the Flag and stuff like that. So, but 343 is aware. They've heard the feedback. They're going to work on it and get that adjusted. Something that people should note: your progression right now in this beta. This is the reason I do. It is kind of, but it is real. Even though yes, it is beta, but it is real. Any progression you get here is not going away.
Okay,
You can keep it. So this season though is going to be a little bit longer. It's going to extend until May 2022. There's going to be like it's going to be quarters, just like they've done previously on Halo 5, which were usually 3-month seasons. This one's going to be longer to like get people in, get through the holiday season, work out the bugs from the beta, and then again, your progression will still count, but this season will just be a little bit longer. Plus, that means also your pass that you pay for, you'll get more value out of it. So there actually will be some, you can get foreseeably just get a lot of content and gear out of that. So not bad. Yeah. And hopefully that means the campaign will be fine on December 8th, but whatever. Hey, it's playing nice. I got no complaints. I'll give a better review when we get down the road. And I'm going to shut up because I got to talk about what might be the final update for Xbox backwards compatibility. Does not mean that backwards compatibility is dead. It just means this is the last update. They dropped 76 games, dropped like the Dead or Alive franchise on the Xbox. So Dead or Alive 1, 2, 3, and 4 can all be played now on your Xbox Series X or Xbox One. It's released not in the Fear franchise, so Fear 1, 2, 3, and the Fear Files. You can also add that. So really solid update.
It's a good list.
Yeah, and but they noted here's the biggest issue of backward compatibility, at least from the Xbox perspective. It's licensing. There's some tech issues for sure that you got to work out. But even once you've done that, the reason sometimes people don't even want to start is because it's how much I'm going to get paid for that song I wrote for this thing that's now being translated over. Now, to Phil Spencer's credit, he Axios published an interview with him, and I love his response on how backwards compatibility should be done in the future, which is something they've really thought of with Xbox One and stuff going forward. So most likely, your next Xbox consoles, we won't see this issue of like Xbox One games and stuff going forward because they're getting so PC integrated that they'll foreseeably like be good. Like they've already got that framework. But he spoke a lot about like we really need to be doing a better job industry wide. So he wasn't just he's picking on himself and also just industry wide of saving backwards. Like, how are you going to play old games? Like, how are we preserving it as a community so that these things don't just disappear and just like pieces of history are just not gone?
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I love that response. So again, it's not that it will be the last one. They just don't reasonably foresee that it's getting any more. And also, this 76 was also a surprise. I did not expect to get this at all. Cool. And last, on the Xbox front.
The side of the Xbox?
What's that?
The side of the Xbox?
The third side of the... Yeah. Dang it. I'm upset.
Upsetty spaghetti.
Do you want to play next-gen games on your Xbox One?
Too bad.
Xbox Cloud Gaming has you covered, but we must ask, why? Why? So this new mode is currently available via beta that will allow you to run Series X games. Now, to be fair, there's not a ton of Series X only games, but there are a few. But you could play them on your older Xbox consoles if you wanted, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, and effectively take advantage of the streaming option there. And the streaming option is really cool for like if you want to play your Xbox games somewhere else, play them on your PC, play them on the phone, attach your Bluetooth, connect your controller. Cool. This this one though, it's kind of like if I'm gonna do it on my console, I kind of want that performance bump. If I'm sitting there, like, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing like remote play. Like, it is useful if you want to play somewhere else in the house. And you just don't want to obviously lug your Series X around the house. Like, I get that, but I just can't imagine this doing well, or unless you got like baller ass internet. I don't know. But hey, it's an option, so yeah, enjoy it. Cool. Any thoughts there, Steve?
I mean, I switched over to PC gaming a long time ago, so this don't affect me.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be like, if you're not at your house, you're gonna play something else. Like, you probably play the Switch or something. Like, you're not gonna play. Like, if you want to play your PC game, you're gonna play your PC game when you get back home.
I mean, I understand like the cause, because like, so it's with the Steam Deck, for example. The Steam Deck is basically just going to allow me to be like, oh man, all those games that I buy on the Switch that are because I want to support it, I want to support the indie game company or whatever, but I also want to be able to play them like on the go, or be able to just dip out of any social situation anywhere. Like, I'm bringing the Steam Deck so I can I just don't ever have to stop playing my PC games.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So there's a market. I get it, but yeah. I know you were excited about this one. I'm
gonna keep going.
yeah, you're on a roll.
So Henry Cavill didn't only spend his pandemic creating DIY computer first trot videos. He also gamed. What? Shocker. So, in a recent interview promoting the Witcher 2, Witcher Season 2 coming up on Netflix next month, so that's rapidly approaching, he talked about, in an interview with Total Film, decided to put it on the hardest difficulty possible to play, which I've done before, and it was really quite stressful. He forgot how stressful it was getting back for the entire series. And then also just noting how much he doesn't get to play, So even though, he got to build that immaculate rig. Also, it installed his cooler upside down, but he also teases himself about that in the video, which go check that video. It's actually pretty fun. But yeah, he just talks about Witcher helped him get continue to be involved in the universe and the world, but apparently he'd already been, since he's such a big PC gamer, he'd been playing Witcher a long time before he ever got cast in the role and so on and so forth. So I mean,
he had a long time. He had a long time.
It's also true. Yeah, I just love that he's a big nerd. I love seeing other celeb nerds. I just love it. All right, next up.
Okay, here we go. Sonic the Hedgehog and Monster Hunter collaboration. Now it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog and Monster Hunter collaboration. So you cannot actually play as Sonic the Hedgehog within Monster Hunter, or defeat a Sonic the Hedgehog monster, but you can look like them. By the looks of it here, as you can see on the screen, we have a screenshot of your Palinco with a Sonic the Hedgehog skin. For those of you who haven't played Monster Hunter, basically you get like this little cat familiar buddy guy who joins you on your quests, who's an adorable cat creature, but you can make them look like Sonic the Hedgehog. You can also make you kind of look like Sonic the Hedgehog when they took their first pass at making the live action Sonic. No, I'm just kidding. But you do get a Sonic cat.
Solid callback.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that looks like fun. I really enjoy the crossover events and stuff like that, especially the Sega stuff, where with Phantasy Star Online episode 2, or Phantasy Star Online 2. Clarification.
Next up, Steve's taking this one, and I had seen what was going on in the internet with this, but Steve was well on top of this one, and I'm just flabbergasted. And he kept telling me different details, and it's like then things started clicking in my brain of what I'd been seeing online. I'm like, oh, so sorry. I just wanted to tease that out there before we get to this next.
That's a good segue into it. So yeah. So Rockstar Games, you know, big company. Probably most notable thing that they've done is the Grand Theft Auto series. Grand Theft Auto 3, fantastic game. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, fantastic game. San Andreas, even better. And so, years have gone by since the release of those games. Since then, Grand Theft Auto 4 has come out, which was a lot of fun, big success. Grand Theft Auto 5, currently one of their biggest money makers as far as like the online gameplay goes. Great series, so why not redo it? Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, has been released, and it is definitively hot garbage. So, there are a number of issues. We'll go over the problems first, and then we'll go over why things are like this. There are a number of issues with the definitive edition. Most of this information is coming from various news sources across Twitter, across the Reddit page, and a couple of YouTubers who also cover news. One notably that I follow pretty well has also covered this story very, very in a detailed format. Yong Yeah, highly recommend checking him out. But there's been details of just a numerous issues that have come up with this definitive edition, which includes GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, which is why I mentioned those three. A number of bugs that exist in the game are coming from the old version that had those bugs. So those games have been out for 10 to 15 years, and during which the modding community has had tons of time to fix and resolve those things. But here they are back again in the new definitive edition. There's issues with multiple character models that are both structural, as I described to Kenny, as well as aesthetic. This is, I'll get into why. But there's also physics issues, like flying cars or players being catapulted across the map whilst driving. There's long-distance rendering issues where objects in the distance that in the old PlayStation 2 iteration of the game were obscured by fog because they could only render but so far. Now they've removed the fog, but never thought to fix how objects look at a distance. So now you can see them very clearly from really far away, but they're still not fully rendered. So it would be like if I took like this Coke can and moved it like 10 miles back, and you were like, I can see that that's a Coke can, but then I just descaled it so it was just a red rectangle, but you had binoculars and you could zoom in and still see it, and like it never improved in quality, and it was just a red rectangle. There's numerous typos in text throughout the game. So for signs and so forth, and like graffiti on the walls or what have you, there's a bunch of typos that now exist in the game. Which, if you've played Grand Theft Auto before, there's a great number of old era funny puns and jokes and so forth that just no longer work when you add a typo into it. And as well as a host of new graphical issues and bugs brought about the whole process. So a reason that's been speculated by fans about why the version is the way it is. For example, there's one major bug wherein when it is raining, the game is nearly unplayable. You cannot see. Like while you're driving around, because the rain is so bright, like the droplets of rain are so overexposed that like it obfuscates the rest of the land, like the land field, so you just can't tell what you're going, like where you're going, or like what obstacles are in your way, because there's so much rain and it's too bright and you can't see. And apparently this and other issues come from the fact that the game was upscaled from a mobile game version of the game. So,
which to your point, still hadn't been fixed.
Which were never fixed.
So it's still effectively, even though it's mobile, still effectively a PS2 version that has never been fixed. It might have been made to work on PS2. Go ahead.
But it's a worse version of the PS2 version. So the company...
Oh god, I didn't... Sorry,
Yep.
I'm gonna talk about resolution issues here in a second. When you, oh God,
Yeah,
people.
because you mentioned that too. So what the reason that the game is the way that it is speculated by users and other technicians online. One such user noted that the visual problems that come from the rain are because of how the game is basically ported and scaled up to a console, and that they too were a or rather the company that got to do the remaster is Grove Street Games, which is like a subdivision or something of Rockstar Games. And basically what they do is they handle the GTA ports to mobile. So what like the one person speculated was like the reason that you're seeing this problem is because they're doing some razzmatazz that one would do from a mobile game, but they applied it here, and like on a mobile game, like this is a problem that you can't deal with because of mobile constraints. So like the framework that you use can't deal with it. So when you port it over to a console game, which should be able to handle it, like the framework used can't. So it doesn't matter that you've ported the console; it's still a problem, and they didn't fix it for whatever reason. Like any amount of beta testing should have revealed, hey, when it's raining, you can't see. And so that's why one reason why a number of players are outraged, and many people are saying that it is as bad of a release as Cyberpunk 2077, pointing out that like these issues that have been solved have long been resolved by modders in the community, and they've been fixed and improved upon, and it wouldn't be so bad if Rockstar's Games parent company Take-Two Interactive hadn't been viciously attacking the modding community by demanding that like all these mods that people created, new content, new quests, new characters, simply improving the specs of the game so it runs better on PC, fixing bugs, removing all of those things from online with cease and desist notices, because this definitive version was going to come out, and this will be the new and improved, and blah blah blah. But in actuality, it's just hot garbage where all the issues that already existed in the game are back again. Some of the aesthetic changes that should be in the game are no longer there. One of the things that was mentioned by gamers was that Vice City has like an orange tint to the game, giving you like this kind of like old feel to the game. That tint's gone, so now everything's just bright and sunny, and it looks and feels weird.
God.
It's a whole. It's it's the same problem. It's along the same vein. It's like the issue with the Buffy the Vampire Slayer like DVD release. I won't get into it because we're on a 20-minute timer, but all of that culminating down into people have been submitting for tons and tons of refunds. And its current Metacritic score by user reviews currently sits at 0.5, making it tied for the second worst rated game alongside Madden NFL 2022 and 2021.
That is, wow. So you were talking about the AI upscaling when we were offline, and then I want to just super quickly, I could give you an example. Me and Steve are real people, and when something captures us, like a camera or anything, and like, you know, that's broken down to like pixels. If you're familiar with pixels, and things that you're looking at on your phone or whatever you're looking at us, are represented by so many tiny blocks. Think about that same thing when you think about a character model. The more pixels or the more points of data that you can do to represent that character, and that whatever device that you're on can render that, the better it's going to look, theoretically. So when we go back to older games, the data that you have available for like a sprite or a particular character may be limited to like, this is as much as we could draw of that character back in the day. This is much information that we had available or could reasonably be read back in the day. So if you didn't let your AI try to interpret what certain I think we're good. We got dropped off for a second.
Yeah, we did.
I think we're good. It still says
you're back. You're back.
Cool. So some of the shaping issues is So I'd seen the shaping issues and I was like, that's weird. And then Steve says, oh yeah, they use like an AI resolution enhancing program. I'm like, oh, I know immediately. I know exactly what the problem is, because if you don't have enough information and you're talking about bones, it's so true.
Yeah, I'm posting a thing if you want to grab a couple of images just to show folks what this looks like, just to add to the ambiance. In our private chat, there's an article you can grab some images from there. But real quick, I'll jump in if you want to grab that. But essentially, what happens is because you don't have enough information, what you have to do is you have to do what's called interpolation of data, which basically means that like the way that the joke goes is that there are two kinds of people in the world: those who can interpolate from incomplete data sets, and that's a really good encapsulation of what interpolation is. So when you have, like PS2 grade data, like there's certain things that a human is able to look at, and like we look at something and we can tell, okay, yeah, this looks like he's obviously wearing a jacket. And the jacket's like puffy or whatever. And then when an AI looks at it and it's like, oh yeah, obviously this man has like 5 bones in his arm. As you can see there, Kitty has it up there. But like it's from stuff like that, which the AI upscaling fails to interpolate accurately, which you're supposed to go through with like a human hand and go, this was close, but not quite right. Let me fix this up and make it correct. But apparently, like, the grocery gamers or whatever their company name is, isn't that big. Like, it's probably about like 20 to 30 people. And to try and completely remaster 3 games that are really big and really iconic, like that's a big effort. And it makes sense that they did it with like AI interpolation, but yeah, Nice Cup of Tea said those are some swiggity swoogity arms, and they are indeed. It makes sense that they did it this way because of time constraints, but it sucks. To wrap up,
quote you on that.
Please do. I love it. To wrap up the GTA biz, so a group of GTA modders is fighting back, which I am super thankful to see, because this whole like going through and demanding the removal of mods thing is not something that's uncommon in the gaming world, especially when companies want to release like their own version, usually inferior, that comes through. Sega's the only team that I've ever known who did it right, of like, hey man, rather than release yet another garbage Sonic game, let's just ask the fans who have already made completely successful and beloved Sonic games to just make a game for us. And they did. And Sonic Mania is amazing. But all that said, a group of modders is challenging Take-Two Interactive by arguing that their projects are protected under fair use. So this particular group is behind the reverse-engineered Grand Theft Auto fan project for what's it called? For Vice City and for GTA 3. Basically, they reverse engineered them and basically made them a mod, wherein they fixed a bunch of bug fixes. In order to have the mod, you have to own the game. So their argument was, we're only adding to the revenue of the company by continuing to provide bug fixes and updates and new content for a game that they no longer support and they no longer add to. And in order for you to use this mod, you can't just get it for free and just apply it to nothing. You have to buy the game, a game that they don't support. So their argument is, we're only adding to the revenue of the company, and we're not like taking away from it. Like, they still make the money they make, because they're selling copies of this game to people who perhaps want to download this mod, which you need to have the game for.
And I think in the long term, legal precedent will have their back on that, because now there were some folk. It'd be a longer thing, but I remember there was a Star Trek fan-made show that got shut down. Nintendo's been, we could go into a long thing about Nintendo, but this one in particular, I think they're going to be really fine because of how narrow you can define that fair use for the mod.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see them fighting back because they should. And it's it's not like there's like, hey, we're selling you our package of the trilogy and our mod. It's like that is not what happened. Cool.
I think that they might have a real foot to stand on for this, and I would love to see them win because it would be while perhaps a narrow use case, it would be a big win for the modding community to have some foothold to what's the word I'm looking for? Establish precedents. To look back to of say like, hey man, this established precedence of legally this seems to be allowed, so this other mod should be allowed, and this other mod should be allowed. So I'm hoping against all hope that they can win.
Yeah, and that is it for game time. How did we do?
I was like I'm like 8 minutes over. I kind of went off in that hot garbage section a little bit.
Yeah, it's totally fine. A nice cup of tea says, does this fall under right to repair?
I say yes.
I feel like it ought to, but there is a profitability thing there, which I think what, don't quote me on this. I think the thing that is, actually let me step back. No, I don't think that's the legislation that would apply here. Oh, there might be some tenets that you could pull. I think the biggest thing is going to be going back to that fair use. Mm-hmm. Like the reason that you could make a parody of Batman and the Joker and use those names, and the reason that you don't have to like change the names is because you're not trying to make a Batman story, right? Mm-hmm. And the gray area that can happen is when franchises let fan bases do this and they don't do anything about it. But I would also argue, but that's healthy. I think that's healthier than the Nintendos that would strike down a Metroid fan project. They made a better version of Metroid, and I love Dread. It's not a knock on Dread, but it's like, why did you take this down? This was good. This is good.
More so of a knock on what's the Metroid 2 remake? Whatever the Nintendo Metroid 2 remake is. That was the one that was Samus Returns. That's the one that directly affected.
Yeah. So I think the tenets are related, but the actual legislation that would be used, it's a little different. All right, we got a few tech things before we get to our main topics and start to close out the night with our Check the Tech segment. Have you scrolled through Twitter and been annoyed when that tweet that you were just reading vanishes because Twitter decided to update? Well, I've got news for you. If you like to look at Twitter on your phone through a browser, or look at it on your desktop, you're in luck. Because there will be an update to the Twitter user experience that will allow you to stay where you're looking and not update until you choose to scroll to the top or hit the load more tweets at the top. Which is funny because that has been an option. It's been a previous option on Twitter way back when it started. And really not sure why they removed it. But I digress. Curiously, though, not sure why that won't be supported in the app. Maybe it's a development thing. Maybe they need more time to roll that out. Maybe it's just easier to go ahead and launch it on the browser. But the app would make the most sense, I think, long term for being able to have that. Because I would
wager it's probably because where there are the impact is lesser. So like if they botch it, then like it hits fewer users, so they can workshop it on desktop. And then figure it out, and then figure out a solid implementation, and then put it in the app, and then that's where all the real users are, quote unquote.
All right, next up.
Excuse me. Oh wow! An elusive Apple I computer sells for $400,000 at auction. Auctioneer group John Moran set up the auction in Monrovia, California last week, and this particular Apple I was known as the Chaffee College Apple I due to its original professor who taught there in Rancho Cucamonga. Did I say that right? Yeah, I did. And eventually sold it to a student where he upgraded it to the Apple II.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
Nice little piece of history there, because there's only 200 of them. That's if you're like, why did it cost that much? It's like, yeah, they made more apples after this point, but this is the initial like getting people proof. I guess proof of concept might be a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
It showed that Steve.
I'd say like 200 is like a little bit more than a proof of concept, but I'd say it gets the right idea across.
Well, I guess okay. Back in the day, this probably would have been, man, you sold 200 computers? Slap my knee. That's fantastic. Off to the races now. Whereas today, that might be like a Kickstarter level of like just yeah. All right, next up. Privacy. Now, acquiring a data set to use in your local government's not anything new, but DC officials did not really understand or check who Verisat was or how they acquired the data that he used for their coronavirus data set.
Oh, right.
So over 1 million users, their cell phone information was used to kind of be able to help create a coronavirus tracking model. Not actually tracking the people, not actually tracking your specific phone, but just understanding how people moved about in the DC area so that you could possibly track and create models for transmission and spread. That's totally fine. There's nothing. So again, it's not about you being actively tracked in that scenario. Just more of like people have historically moved and done these things when they go to work and so on and so forth, and you using it as a model. But the problem with Verisat is that we don't know how did they get opt-in and consent, which probably did not in this case. This was used in a trial set between DC and the company Verisat, and was not picked up for a further contract to continue developing out that model. So just like another issue and another case of companies not necessarily going through that process to make sure that they're like not doing their due diligence to make sure people are informed on where the information is going. But specifically, Verisat is what we would consider a data broker. So they're collecting, getting this, aggregating it, and then selling it off like it did to the DC officials and or other interested parties.
Mm-hmm.
So, not great. Not great.
Speaking of other things that are not super great, if you're a small business using Google Maps, you might have received some nonsense anti-regulation propaganda from the tech giant. So Google has been advertising action buttons that send interested targeted parties to a website that breaks down the impending House legislation with a clear slant towards Google and how it would affect them. Effectively, what was the name of this the legislation? It was anti. Let me get the right phrasing.
Yeah, because it's a bill going through the House or being debated in the House right now.
Yeah,
I apologize. I didn't put the bill name on there.
No, it's cool. I read through the thing. It's just it escapes me right now. I believe it was like anti-tech monopoly or something to that effect. It was antitrust, where basically it wants to break up or separate companies like Amazon, Apple, and Google because they have somewhat of like a data/tech monopoly over certain sectors. And Google is essentially saying like, if this goes through, it could be a big problem for small businesses, blah blah blah. Like in actuality, it's a big problem for Google because they want to be Google and they want to be big, and as big as Google is, if you will. But they're trying to lean it in a way of like, oh man, this is going to affect you, and like you're the real person who's suffering here, and that's not quite the case. I mean, like the folks will be affected for sure, in terms of like if you're relying on Google exclusively for reaching your customers or doing this, that, and the other, or for data aggregation or analysis and other things like that. Like yes, you'll be affected, but you're not the target of this legislation. It's the companies themselves.
Yeah, the internet will be fine. Like we'll figure it out. It'll be okay. Yeah, we'll keep you abreast of that as we get more information on how that proceeding goes. I think that's going to be uphill sledding for a bit, but it's a needed conversation that needs to happen, even if there's not a breakup, like more regulation on how they operate.
We talked about it briefly like a week or two ago. But yeah, it's a complicated issue, and I don't know that necessarily breaking things up is just going to be. I don't think this is as easy as like breaking up like phone or electric companies or something like that.
Cool. All right, it's time for our main topics.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let me. So I'm not going to rehash the entire Activision Blizzard thing right now. IGN, Kotaku, they have IO9. They have fantastic timeline docs, and
And we've talked about it at length before.
Yeah, Polygon's done a great job as well. So, but suffice it to say, what kicked off Activision and Blizzard, which is a little separate from Ubisoft. Ubisoft is more of continued reporting on the toxic behavior. Activision and Blizzard have active lawsuit happening with the California Department of Justice and the federal DOJ. So, what's come up as a result of that lawsuit was a particular price issue. Sorry, I'm going to pull it up. Or sorry, pay issue that Jen O'Neill, who had been on the board, and one of her co-workers, particularly Mike Ybarra, was talking about that disparity. She's one of the people that came forward on the amount of harassment, things that were happening inside the office. And she did eventually get equal pay to old Mike there, only after she quit and said she was done. It took that for them to then offer her pay that would be commensurate to what her coworker Mike was getting at that time. So if you're wondering, like, why are we bringing this up again? It's like that's a new finding that's come out that's like kickstarted or brought more attention to this again. And inside of Blizzard, at the executive level, now this is interesting because the Activision board has vocally been behind current CEO. Sorry, let me grab his name back. Bobby Kotick. The shareholders, however, man, it's funny,
very
man.
much not.
Very much not, man. It's funny when that wallet gets hit. Man, that's funny. That's funny when that wallet gets hit. So there's a little bit of an inner executive war happening inside of Activision over what the CEO should do. He has not stepped down. The shareholders want him to step down so they can start to repair and move forward. And again, I'm going to loosely use repair, move forward because of the money thing. It might just be more of a PR thing and not really wanting to clean up house as needed. But at least it's an encouraging sign that there is some pushback happening inside the company. And lastly, Sony of America's CEO, the North American division, Jim Ryan, spoke out on the Activision issue, saying he was disheartened, and that the rest of the company, speaking for the companies, they were disheartened and frankly stunned to read that they have not done enough to address the deep-seated culture of discrimination and harassment, especially after the Jen O'Neill revelation came out this past week. So that's the kind of pressure I've been looking for. And I've talked about this before, like Game Awards is coming up in like 2 weeks, and I'm like, or like when the Call of Duty Vanguard trailer came out, and we said that on this show, we're like, yeah, it came out, we're not airing it because we don't care. Like if Overwatch 2 dropped tomorrow, it'd be like, we're a part of the system that gives you press, so we need to be holding you accountable when it's like, if you want us to, like, we love that relationship. That could be really good and beneficial, and it could be ethically good. It's like, but if you want that to be maintained, we have to call you out when things are happening. So there's just some outlets that just kind of act like, yeah, it's business as usual. It's like, what is going? So like seeing Sony come out like that is good. I think more companies that are in bed, just to say it as it is, in bed with Activision, need to come out strongly. Microsoft coming out strongly would be great. And I'm not saying they haven't had statements, but coming out more strongly of like, we need to see immediate change. Or maybe say like, hey, we're going to delist Call of Duty Warzone from the PlayStation Store until you get your act together.
Because that'd be big.
That'd be big.
That's a big motivator. Like, now, because like the shareholders who have called for the removal of two of the executives are, I think it's a collection of shareholders that total of like just shy of 5 million shares out of quite a lot more. So statistically, it's not like a majority, but it is a non-insignificant number of shareholders.
So that's the big update, and there is a potential settlement that's come out, although it has not been approved by the federal government yet. So we have to see what that ends up doing. But the people that are involved in the settlement have signed off on that. So now it's just a matter of if the DOJ is going to accept that. But at least there'll be some financial compensation for the folks that have gone through hell working at this company. Hoping that Ubisoft will be on that next, but we'll see. All right. It is. So we're not. We're not showing the trailer. Y'all can watch it. That can just make it hard on us getting monetized. So sorry, folks, but hey, it's on the internet,
and we're on the internet,
Hey.
What are you doing here?
I'm walking here. So when it got done, I am frankly shocked at the level of restraint being shown here. And I know that's going to sound hard because trailers are already historically really bad. We literally just talked about it.
Yep, last show.
But if you've been under a rock, the biggest thing is like, are we going to see multiple Spider-Men in this movie? And I had said from a long time ago, again, obviously they want to keep that under wraps. But I'm like, I really haven't heard anything about casting. Like I'd heard about Jamie Foxx, I'd heard Alfred Molina. So when they came on the trailers, it wasn't a surprise. The Defoe one was pretty big. You got me. And then but that level of hiding people is difficult. That is.
They're doing a real good job. I am pleased. Like I can't not watch Spider-Man trailers. Like I know I don't watch trailers like that. I just go in blind most of the time and see stuff. Or I just have selective memory where I'm like, did I see a trailer for this? I don't know. But with Spider-Man stuff I can't not watch, and I am pleased that with every bit that I learn, I feel like it's nothing. It's an inconsequential amount of knowledge about the film, which I prefer, as opposed to, we talked about it last time, where they'll put plot critical crap in the trailers, or just straight up spoil the plot in the trailer, and they're not doing that. I'm glad that the directors and the people who handle the marketing are helping keeping things under wraps so that things are a surprise when we actually get to see it.
Yeah. So we get a better look at Sandman, better look at we got to see the Goblin Grenade. We got Electro. Actually see Jamie Foxx, who's not Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, his costume looks good. His costume looks good. Yeah, I was telling Kenny before the show, I was like, there's only two answers. It's as long, or there's only two answers and there's one definite don't. There's, please God, don't make him look like Spider-Man from the Ultimate series where he's all blue and razzmatazz because it's bad. Or do his goofy costume from the original comic book with the lightning and with the green suit and the lightning thing going off or whatever, or do his other costume from the comic book that's less goofy, and that's totally fine. And if you do the goofy costume, it's oh cool, he looks bonkers because his character's supposed to be bonkers and he's the Electric Man. Of course he's got a lightning bolt costume.
We got so we'd seen the Goblin Grenade in the previous one, but now we actually got to see Goblin running around, and also maybe a second Goblin. So no one's working with James Franco right now, so I doubt it's that version of Green Goblin. But it could be DeHaan's Goblin from Amazing Spider-Man 2, because it looked around the right shape. So again, and even but a good point is that these may not be the characters they may not operate the way that we think they do. Because Electro. The fact that the costume looks different. Well, wait, is that the Amazing Spider-Man Electro? You know,
I don't know. Yeah.
because again, you could have a
Multiverse.
Yeah, multiverse. It's something we know startling little. Yeah, I think the trailer's fine. No big bombshells. The ending of the trailer though is where I feel like that's the only spot where I'm like, that might have tipped something. That might be when this breaks down. That might be that. I mean, obviously there's a big fight that's happening. We know that's the end of the movie, but Strange is talking about the whatever's holding the multi, like whatever reason they're pouring in, aside from just a spell, is worsening at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there were a moment for your Avengers Endgame portals moment to happen, that might be it. So, if that ends up being it, I'll be a little disappointed there. But at least the emotional beats of it have not been ruined per se. But, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well phrased. Yeah, I'm excited. This movie's gonna slap. And I don't think they could possibly do anything to disappoint me, because I'm going in with I'm just excited. Dr. Octavius is in it, and it's the same one from the great Spider-Man film. With Tobey Maguire, and I'm like, this is already a grand slam. It's like you got William Dafoe to even voice the Green Goblin, probably. I'm like, grand slam. This is 2 grand slams back to back.
Oh, that's right. If he never takes the mask off, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't need to he doesn't need to take this helm in the thing, but it's even if he voices the Green Goblin, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Terrence says, I feel like pandemic helped the production keep things locked down. I mean, probably, and I don't disagree with that. And Holland even said recently in an interview from the fan event that this happened at, that he'd ran into Defoe, didn't know who he was. Like, why is this person cloaked around, running around the set? Oh, it's Willem Dafoe. I'm like, again, if anyone could pull it off, I think they would be the ones to do it. I just have been so skeptical, but I want to be wrong, because this would be amazing. I don't want fans to go in there and be like, wait, we didn't actually get what we thought would have been teased. Like, what? We didn't get it? It didn't happen?
I mean, I think you should go in with the assumption that that is going to be dope as hell, and that you're going to see some cool multiversal shit, but don't go in with the assumption that Tobey Maguire is going to be there, and tall Spider-Man Andrew Garfield's going to be there, and it's going to be, they're going to do the thing, and they're going to be like, oh, what are you doing here? I don't think that's going to happen. That'd be real funny if they do that meme where multiple Spider-Men are there, and they're like, pointing at each other. That would be great. It would be a great moment for meme history, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Have you seen?
Yes.
The Russian landlord meme?
Yes. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, the landlord from Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
He's like, where's my rent? And it's got the free Spider-Man, and he's like...
Yes, I have seen it.
They got him hiding behind the tree, like, more?
Yeah. I have seen that.
I was like, that's great.
That's a good one.
Real quick, there's some comments from Holland recently about if he's playing Spider-Man until he's 30, he feels like he's done something wrong.
Oh, yeah. Basically, he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man no more. I'm tired. I want to do stuff. I want to do other stuff, which I get. He doesn't want to end up like, what's his face? Hugh Jackman. Where it's like you end up being Wolverine forever.
Sure.
Which I understand, but I'm like, boy, get your money and put that Spider-Man costume back on.
Yeah. Get this paper, and then, and then, so.
I did joke with Kenny beforehand. It would be hilarious if Tom Holland's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. And they just multiverse, just shift Tobey Maguire back into the Spider-Man role. I
would be fine with it, but my our CEO Kyle, I can hear him screaming in my headset. Is he online with us right now? No, not at all. There's no way for him to actually do that, but I just physically feel it because he cannot stand Maguire.
That's the best one.
I know. People don't want to
Iconic
believe it.
cheese.
Yeah. So
Ah.
that brings us to our last topic, and like I said at the beginning, I'd heard the things that were going to come out basically. Like it's like, yeah, we're gonna have some announcements for Disney Plus Day. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, because we really haven't had a Disney Plus Day yet. This is kind of like the first actual one. There's been Disney shareholder meeting, which announced like the Star Wars things last year, and then Star Wars fans were a little upset they didn't get more Star Wars stuff. I'm like, God, calm down. You're gonna have a whole year of Star Wars next year. Do you realize how much Star Wars you're about to have next year? It's gonna be bonkers. But you did get some Star Wars stuff if you were paying attention. We got Obi-Wan stuff. Anyway.
I'm so excited.
Like The Princess and the Frog, Tiana's getting a show. We're getting some more Chip and Dale, voiced by Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. I mean, we got... Although there now is a continuity thing of Star Wars Obi-Wan, because they showed some concept art of Obi-Wan and
Vader
fighting again at Mustafar, and I'm like, so just F it.
It's Force Ghost.
Yeah. Unless they're gonna play that amnesia thing, like, oh, I really can't tell who that person is that I'm fighting. That I'm like,
who could this be?
Who could it be? Ooh, Force Ghost? Ooh.
It's Obi-Wan shows up with like a what's that called? Like a tuxedo mask, style mask from Sailor Moon, and like a top hat. And Vader's like, "Who is this?"
It'd be like the college humor Batman.
Oh yeah,
Commissioner Gordon, where did you go? What? What? Oh, there was a guy. He looked just like you, but he wasn't wearing glasses. And so. I guess though, if it's early in the time, like right after the fall of the Republic, and it's like most of their fights happened early, and then he went off the map finally. Like I know he hit on Tatooine, but maybe he like finally kind of. They had a couple battles early in the first couple years when the twins were born, and then he eventually drops off. So like when he says, "Yeah, I haven't felt that presence in a long time," it's like it could still be true if it's just like maybe it was like 10 years instead of 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, right after, like, Vader went on, like, he was basically, like, Mr. Murder, like, of the Star Wars universe, and, like, Sidious was basically like, yo, what up, homie? I heard that there's a Jedi over there, and he's real strong. You better go kill him. And, like, he would just go over and basically do that, and it was basically every quest was like that. He was like, another settlement needs your help, Vader. He's like, oh. And by needs your help, I mean needs to be cleansed.
Mm-hmm.
So say it, Palpatine.
So a couple other things. But we'd already known about this new Hawkeye show spinoff, Echo. And other things that are like just at least. Ah, dang it! Dang nabbit! Get back up there. Cool. Actually, I'll switch to you real quick. I'll break because I'm gonna save the photo for when we actually talk about because I'm excited. Because it's bonkers. It's bonkers what happened. We're getting another Predator movie, so I'm glad that they're tapping into the Fox properties. So
the properties, if you will,
because honestly, Disney has kind of been laying an egg on the Fox properties. Like, give me Aliens. You can give me something, right? Again, I know Alien Covenant.
We could do well with more than one Aliens universe or Alien/Predators universe movie once every like 9 years.
Yeah. At this point, if I have a great grandchild, they will get 2 more movies. 2 more at this rate. But yeah, I'm glad to see that they're tapping into that. Getting the Baymax series confirmed. We'd heard about that for a little bit.
Baymax is payback in Baymax, is what this person wrote.
From Polygon. I'm like, what? The Riri Williams Ironheart series, Secret Invasion. I'm really excited about Secret Invasion. I think that's going to be wild. Everyone's super excited for Agatha Harkness. that series on Disney Plus. And but again, these are things we'd heard about. We got some little snippets. There's like actual like logos, official logos from Disney. None of it, in my opinion. Now you might be like, why aren't you talking about like one? If you need us to talk about it more, let us know, and we'll give you what you want, baby.
And by deep dive, I mean speculative comments.
There you go, because that's all we can do right now.
Yep.
But in my opinion, none of it compares to mutants lining up side to side, getting ready to crash into one another.
Nice. I really hope that's synchronized on screen. We did not.
We did not. Folks, this is the OG, like, Cyclops blasting off a laser in the sky, Wolverine flying through trees in that intro. Heck, we might just be, the nostalgia might be more for the intro than the actual show itself. I haven't got to go back and rewatch it in a while.
I disagree. The show actually slaps.
I'm kidding. It's obviously amazing. Plus, we got
good.
we had crossovers. Do you remember the X-Men Spiderman crossover when that happened? I was like,
what are you doing here?
What's happening? If you have no idea, if you're like, what? We haven't even really said the thing. Sorry. So on Disney Plus Day, they confirmed that we're getting an X-Men show, but we're getting X-Men, the 90s series, 1997, and they're continuing where that left off. And that just, my brain was having trouble, because when I saw the photo, which was Wolverine holding the picture of Jean and being sad in the bed, which is a classic meme format.
Classic meme.
I'm like, oh, wait, was it not on Disney Plus? Or are they just going to put it on Disney Plus? Oh, okay, cool. Great, I'll go. So I kind of mentally blocked out because of the photo. I just kind of blocked. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Then my brain, like, Kenneth, it said 2023. So I had to, like, whip back. Like, wait, what? And it's like, we're getting a continuation of a kids series that was... This has been 20 years, folks. I'm happy. I can't believe it's happening. I'm glad it's happening. This goes more to like this back into like getting into the Fox properties stuff too, because this was a Fox TV product. Fox Kids when it came on Fox Kids Saturday mornings and stuff, played during the weekday and stuff. Wow, I'm just I'm excited. Getting the original voice actors back is incredible. A lot of the original voice actors, not everyone's going to be able to come back, but a lot of the original voice actors. Thinking about that animation style, I'm kind of curious how they're going to update it in a way that's like respects the integrity of it, but obviously like takes advantage of modern techniques, so that it's not. That I'd be really interested to see.
So taxing to have to create.
Yeah, and I mean, and they went for it. I mean, they went for it on so many storylines of like, all right, this is the Savage Lands. We're going there. We're gonna give like, honestly, with full disrespect to the X-Men movies, and I know people will be mad, and I still love this movie. That's not what I mean. But with full disrespect, it's the only on-screen time we've gotten to see the full Phoenix saga. It's like actually get Phoenix saga and good, and then get Dark Phoenix, and then get some other variations of Phoenix. Because what happens in the movies, they just are so stuck on Dark Phoenix, and it's like, yeah, we got to show Dark Phoenix. You haven't even really shown Jean struggling with just the Phoenix force on itself yet. You're just so stuck on like it's overwhelming to her, not necessarily always dark before it gets dark. Also, go check out Comic Book Girl 19's series on the Dark Phoenix saga, which is amazing on YouTube. If you don't know what we're talking about, but I don't know. And my boy Hank McCoy, I love 90s Hank McCoy, the animated series. He's dude.
Really good.
That was my favorite character growing up. And yeah, just dude, I don't know.
It's a great cast of characters, and they do a really good job with portraying a lot of the stuff like that. I'm trying. I know my like trivia brain on the old X-Men cartoon show is like spinning extra hard, but like I know that there's conceptually some stuff that was made for the show that was so well received that it was integrated into the comic book, but I can't remember what those specific details were.
I Jubilee.
Maybe I vaguely
remember
remember
if
it
she
being
was-
in relation to the how the what saga was that called? How the saga was it the I think it was Days of Future Past in the show was something that only had happened in the show by the time of its release, and I think it was Days of Future Past that like was so well received that they did it in the comic book and made it canon. I think it was Days of Future Past. I'm not. I know it was. I know it was related to the Sentinels, but I can't remember if it was that.
It could be because there was a couple things like that. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, either Jubilee was new for the time and got popularized.
I think so.
It might be. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But it might be more that like she was a brand new comic character, but just took off in the show. It's kind of like
or she was like a sideline character from the original X-Men team who like got brought back or something.
She definitely wasn't on the original X-Men team, so I remember that. So that's
I don't remember the original X-Men team. And when Kenny and I say original X-Men team, pro tip: every X-Men character that you know who's really really popular is not necessarily the folks who were on the original X-Men team. Basically, they just killed off all those characters because they were whack and reinvented them and made a new X-Men team.
Well, I mean, yeah,
they work it into the story.
Because I was gonna say
later.
two of them are on two of them are on there. We got Jean and Cyclops, and then you've got excuse me, Beast, Angel, and is it Iceman was the fifth? Hold on,
No. I think you're thinking other original X-Men team. I'm talking about when X-Men was first made as a comic book. We're going off on the deep end. This isn't important. Whatever. This is just fan crap.
It is important.
They're not going to bring that up in the show. Why would they?
Yeah. But the reason I think the other thing I love about these shows, particularly the '90s era, and I think a lot of comic book fans will agree with me, because I will admit that I read comics, but I would not consider myself a big comic book reader. So there's like, if someone tells me like, "Hey, there's a really new one that you should go check out," I'll pick it up and watch it. Or sorry, not watch it, but read it. And I mean, you've seen my video games, so like more of where my money was going at when I was a kid. You get that? Like that's where that was going. I didn't have extra money.
It's either or. Ain't no child out there who has comic book money and video game money.
Yeah, or ergo, it was probably their parents that was giving them that. You know, I was actually one of our co-hosts, Zach, not co-host, but in the past, one of the founders, big comic book nerd. But it helped that his dad was also a big comic nerd, movie nerd. So that probably definitely helped him getting access to comic books while he could go spend his money on the movie collection and then so on and so forth. So, yeah, but, all right, sorry. My point, what I was trying to say is that, but this 90s series of shows, comic book TV shows up to this point were really hit or miss, and they just did weird stuff. They did a lot of weird, like.
Spider-Man part of it was. Sorry, go ahead.
But like, you got things like Spider-Man and Friends, the Justice League, not the '90s and 2000s Justice League, but like early like Batman and Friends and DC Super stuff like that. That's like, yeah, these are some of the people you like and have read growing up, but these are not really great representations of these stories. And in your 90s animation, like the Spider-Man show and X-Men are the first ones that really are like, hey, we're gonna take a swing at this. We're gonna take a really big, like Batman animated series. Like, we're gonna take a really big swing at his Rogue Gallery. Remember, really try to do this. And I would say the X-Men series, there's some weird stuff they do too. Don't get me wrong, that doesn't quite hit. But mostly, I'd say they're really trying to like, we're gonna try to hit that Chris Claremont X-Men feel of the late '80s and bring it to this '90s cartoon, and it's
Well, one of the things that they did really well of why so many people like the X-Men show is they didn't shy away from what the story was about. Like, yes, these are, and it's the same reason that people really look fondly back on shows like X-Men and Gargoyles and other types of stuff, is because yes, it is an animated show, but ultimately, like, they're not trying to tell a good story for kids. They're just trying to tell a good story, and they're also, for X-Men particularly, and I guess Gargoyles as well. They don't try to speak down to their audience or portray things in like a kiddie way or whatever. Like, they just give it to you the way that the world in this setting is. And people responded really, really well to it. And it was one of those things of like, the network is like, it's kind of iffy if you can do this or not. And I remember hearing about, like, there was some stuff where, like, they were like, what, you can't do that? And they're like, oh, we already finished the episode. It's going out like today. And they're like, okay. But there was a little bit of that kind of stuff where they were like, oh, well, this is supposed to be a kid show. And it's like, but you can't just write it for kids. Like,
right.
It's kid characters, but you just got to tell a good story. And it worked really, really well.
I don't know if there's videos on X-Men in particular, but Batman had to deal with that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, particularly to your point, they'd be like constantly getting pushed back from the censor. They had an on-set censor to try to read the script and be like, maybe don't show it that way.
Yeah, there's like a famous image done by one of the creators of the show that where he puts in everything that you weren't allowed to do. Like, you couldn't have like kids getting hurt, or you couldn't have guns, you couldn't have like cleavage or smoking or like blood or like all this other stuff. So he drew one image of like Batman punching the Joker with blood coming out of his mouth, and the Joker shooting at Batman, and Harley Quinn's there, and there's also like a kid who's in danger or something, like all this other stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're excited about the X-Men animated series coming back, not X-Men Evolution, not on X-Men Evolution, yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. Nice Cup of Tea says Dark Phoenix is awesome, which, yeah, you're right. Granted, they're awesome. Another thing that's great about this series, Wolverine's not the main character. Wolverine is a big piece of this show. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Wolverine's not the main character.
Well, yeah, that's because we in the modern day have gone through, 10 plus years of Wolverine fandom, which wasn't bad, but it's nice to get some new stuff that's like, hey, what's Jean and Cyclops doing? What about Nightcrawler? What about Jubilee? What about everybody's favorite character ever, who's the best character who's ever been made, Gambit, who they've never done a solo movie on?
Remy LeBeau.
You made me into a thief.
Now I just immediately remember, Rogue. Gambit and Rogue, their interactions, I hope that holds up. Before I get too rosy on that, let me go back. I hope that holds up. There's nothing bad in there.
There is. It's a 90s cartoon, Kenny.
Damn it.
Yeah, also Storm needs a solo film. Storm is so dope. Oh, man.
We were getting there. You see, we have an abundance of riches.
Yeah,
we talk about
our cup floweth over. Wait, what's the phrase? It's something like that. I don't know references. Our cup runneth over. There you go. Cup overflow.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know. Actually, maybe that's a good poll we should throw up. Who's your favorite X-Men character from this series? Or if you want to just talk about the series in general. Are you excited? What are you looking forward to? I also remember the last season getting a little screwy, so when I go back and rewatch, that's something I got to keep in my mind as well. All right. We've been on for a bit. We got started a little later. Obviously, it's a different day as well. So I'm going to go ahead and wind it on down.
Bring it on back. What's going down on Nerd Union this week, Kenny?
Well, me and Tom will record the Commander Ship Show at some point. There is a lawsuit now out against Alec Baldwin in the set of Rust, so we'll give you the details on what's going on there. I will also be watching Ghostbusters Afterlife on late Thursday night, so I'll let you know what my impressions are on that over the weekend. So that'll be the big Commander Ship news there. What's after that? Let's see, the rundown of Taryn Bell. Get you all the news. There's still more news that we did not get to.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, there's news we didn't get. Da, 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 da. And yeah, that's our pre-recorded show, and it drops every weekend. Of course, though, we've had some. It's been a lot going on, so we've been a little busy. This Thursday, the Quorum from 7 to 9 p.m. is doing Cowboy Bebop. This should be like our second, either our last week or second last week. Taryn probably knows off the top of their head. Because Cowboy Bebop, the live action, drops this weekend. So next Thursday, we'll be going into things. We'll be going in and talking about the live action show. Yep, Taryn, thank you. Second to last. So still have a little bit of the animated show to wrap up. And the reason I was also watching the Star Trek Discovery premiere tonight. I was tweeting about it. Couldn't give any show details about it. But Doug Jones, Sonequa Martin Green were there. Anthony Rapp. It was really cool in this online interface in the chat room. Got to watch the premiere. It was really cool. It technically comes out tomorrow for everyone else. So Kyle Nelson, our CEO, is writing a review right now. We can't put that out yet, so it'd be a review embargo. We'll hopefully drop that up sometime tomorrow, before the show drops out, so you can read it, or just read it afterwards after you watch the show. Spoiler though, it is really good. So I think you'll watch it and be like, holy crap, that's a great way to start the season. So, but Red Shirt Rejects will be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central. We'll be talking about the episode, and then also finishing our review wrap up of all the Star Trek movies, and giving you our ranking to see if our ranking changed. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. We want to give a special thanks to our Patreon supporters. We appreciate your monthly contributions because they help us run these live shows and do our upcoming videos. Want to give a shout out to Doug Schumann and Shelby Johnson. And Shelby, what's your weekly throwback? Mine is going to be Mocap Boxing, a old arcade game which featured a two quote-unquote boxing glove controllers as well as a pad that you stood on, and as you shifted your weight from side to side, you could throw your punches to actually punch and hit the other enemy boxers. It was super fresh. I was never a good boxer as a child, and I would always basically beat the second guy and then promptly lose.
Gotcha. But man, boxing games. Why they gotta make it so difficult? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? Also, if you've played Wii boxing and you didn't realize that you didn't have to, people would always get so into it, and I'd just be here be doing very small. I was very
into Wii boxing,
and they'd be mad and be like, "What?" I'm like, "The sensor's not that great."
I always overdid it, and I'm there basically what's it called, Josuke, throwing punches.
Yeah. So we were talking light gun games, and immediately the one that I've owned well before, this is not a knock on Time Crisis, but the one I owned well before Time Crisis and has been in arcades well across America, Area 51.
That's a good one.
Which I just also loved for the mix of the live action scenes in it. Mm-hmm. If you don't remember, it's very much in that.
Somebody pops up on the screen. Yep.
Yeah, and then also you'd have humans run across and you'd be like, ah, crap! Don't shoot! Ah, take it. Yeah, just really, and also it wasn't gory. There's a lot of fake CGI alien blood all over the place. So I really appreciate it. I don't think I ever beat it though. I beat Area 51 Site B, the second game. I don't think I ever beat the first one. At least
I don't know if I beat the first one. I remember playing it with my dad. And it was probably the kind of game where if we beat it, we were super committed to beating it one time, and we were like, all right, cool. And it was like I'll use as many quarters because at the end they start cheating, whereas like people jump out and they like shoot you automatically before you even have a chance to realize that they're there. And it was like, all right, we gonna beat this game one time, and we gonna spend the $5 it costs to do it, and we ain't never gonna do it again. We just gonna play it and have fun next time. It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, lots of fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's good throwbacks. Hey,
good throwbacks.
If you like State of Nerd Union, if you like what we do here in Nerd Union, you could always consider supporting us with Patreon contributions. But at the very least, if you have not hit like or subscribe on this video, what are you doing? We need your support. If you made it all the way here with us, hit that subscribe button. Help us out. So, all right. I have been Commander Ship.
I am still Imminent Doom X.
And this is the second time I've gotten it the right direction. Like pointing to my left to get to the right. Cool.
This way? Yeah, I did it.
There you go. Yeah, you did it.
Hey, there we go.
Cool. All right. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.